Hello, I'm Jeffrey Lessel, also known as Geo. You can feel free to call me Geo. And welcome to my stream. I did this last week a little bit, trying to just hacking on my Emacs Lisp literate config. And it was pretty well received, so I thought I'd go ahead and do a little bit more tonight before the workday tomorrow, because there's a couple things I've got ideas for that I'd like to add in there before work. So let me start. Last time we went through and kind of refactored some code I had already written that made working with GitHub a little easier. So it was specifically to open a file that is in a GitHub repo on GitHub. And well, let me just show you that. Well, before we do that, let me first of all show you what I've got in my Emacs configuration GitHub that's unstaged right now, and let's commit those changes and go from there. So let me get my screen up here. So here is my configuration. And in here, I did find one thing that was annoying me last time. I don't know if I remember, but last time, every time I created a code block, it would indent it 2 spaces, and that was messing up our Emacs Lisp documentation. And so I found this configuration of org edit source content. I keep forgetting I'm in a Magit thing. So org edit source content indentation, and so I can set that as 0. And so I'm going to go ahead and stage that chunk because I definitely want to add that. And by the way, this is my personal config, so I'm not super worried about having very individual commits, but I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to commit that, just that one change here. So Emacs don't indent source blocks, commit that. Okay, so the next thing is just got some helper text here about my utilities. And then I did split out my GitHub utilities from that one big source block we had to now they've got their own source blocks. So here is what we worked on last time, this git run commands. We also have the git current branch name and the git relative, geo project relative file name. And I put that in a project related subheading in my org file. Now, one thing that I did change, I think, after the stream was I had done a check as to whether it was called interactively on on each of my helper functions. And if it was called interactively, I was adding the message to the message buffer or the mini buffer down below. Instead, what I did is, since they all use this geo git run command, I added an optional show message variable that I can pass true or false, and it would, or true would show the message in the message buffer or the mini buffer. So I decided that was a better way to do it. Again, just more refactoring. Hold on one sec. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. So now what I can do is, on each one of the things that uses this the git run command, is pass in the called interactively p interactive function, like I do here, this branch show current called interactively p interactive, and that will tell us whether or not we want to show the message. And if it's called interactively, then yes, we do want to show the message. Otherwise, we don't want to show the message. We're just concerned with the output, and we're going to grab that. So I'm going to commit that. Let's see, stage that. The other thing I did is I renamed my open in GitHub. So I thought, I have this geo/git namespace working out, and I thought it might be a good idea to have a geo/GitHub namespace as well. So I broke that out, but I'm not going to commit that quite yet. I'm going to change that in a minute. But I did want to add in this refactoring that I believe was in the last stream. So add that chunk. Let's also add this chunk, which again was, I think, is just part of what we did last time. And that's part of the rename, so I'll leave that out. And this project related is also part of that. So I'll commit that. Add some Git and GitHub helper functions, I guess. Okay, so now let's rename this open in GitHub, or GitHub open in GitHub. This is just a refactor, but rename geo GitHub open in GitHub. Let's say geo open in GitHub, and then to that. Okay, cool. So now we're basically at a good starting point, and let's get back in it. I don't know why this is in a weird spot there. There we go. Actually, why does it do that? Why are these next to each other? Don't do that. Hey, Emacs, don't do that. Maybe I need to add a extra line here. I think I may have deleted a line when I was trying to stage some files. Product related. Yeah, why? If I delete these, let's just add a new line, I guess. That's weird that that's branching down like that. What if I add a new line there? Okay. All right, are you good? Are you good, Emacs? All right, weird spacing issues. I'm still not sure how to do spacing in org files. Is it like typical to do something like this where they're all, if it's all clumped together, or they're all, I guess, unexpanded, all collapsed, that they're all clumped together like this? Or are there typically like spaces in between? Like, oh, that's not a good example, but like in this Hydra menus, would there be like a, I don't know, like a space in between each one of these? I don't really know what the idiomatic way to do it is. I've gone back and forth actually on this one itself. So I started with the spaces in between them, and then I deleted all the spaces, and I think I like it better without the spaces. Okay, anyway, let's get back to GitHub stuff. In utilities helpers, GitHub. So in here, there's two things I want to add. One is, well, the main thing I want to add, and we need a helper function to do it well, is I want to be able to open a branches. Basically, I need to open a branch, a PR for a branch in GitHub, and I'd like to be able to get all of the branch names first of all locally, and then be able to choose one of those branch names and open a PR in GitHub. So the first thing we need to do is find out what GitHub's typical structure is, URL structure for opening a PR. So if we just go to GitHub and look at my literate Emacs config file, and then we say compare or pull request, let's do pull request, and look in the URL here. It has this, compare, and then the branch name, and then question mark expand equals 1. So I played around with this a little bit before. Expand equals 0. I don't know if that actually changes anything. It's just the appearance of this expand seems to be the main factor. Like if I just do compare, then it has all the files that have been changed, and I can see the differences and all that kind of stuff. But to create the pull request, as soon as I say create pull request, well, the URL didn't update, of course, but I can create a pull request here, or I can use that expand to also create a pull request. So that's kind of what we're going to aim for, is this URL right here. We want to create that URL based on the branch name that we give it. Let me close that. Okay. Back to Emacs. So one thing I did previously off stream is I played around a little bit with creating or with getting the branch names. So let me kind of show you what I came up with. I'm going to just redefine it in here live. So I'm going to go into another thing here. And again, turn off fly check mode. That's something I'll do soon, I'm sure, is turn that off every time I open it up. So we're going to find a function. We're going to call it geo get, how about just list branches? And it's not going to take any arguments. Let's say return the list of branches in the repo, maybe in the current repo. I don't know. And it can be run interactively. So we got that. So if you think about what we need, we just need to call get, the get command, and have it list the branches. Now, if I just go into my dot files, let's see, source dot files, or user dot files, make this a little bit bigger and collapse the window just a bit. If I just say git branch, it shows this list of branches, but it has this like the spaces, and then it has an asterisk for the current branch, which if we're sending it to a different function or anything else, we don't really want that asterisk there. We want to strip that out. So how do we strip that out? Well, again, I did a little bit of research before the stream, and the best way to do that I found was this git for each ref. And we can give it a format. We can say format equals, let me make sure I get the format right. It's ref name short, and say refs head z. So if we do that, we have our list of branches without any extra, with no coloration, with no extra spaces, and without that asterisk. So from what I could tell, and from what someone said, again, someone said on the internet this thing that I'm believing, but there's two different, basically, categories, I guess, of Git functions that Git provides. One is for the end user to use, and that would be like Git branch. And then another is for Git itself to use, or people who are creating their own programs with the functionality of Git to use. And from what I can tell, this git for each ref is part of that underneath part that is for developers or for the Git program itself to use. And in fact, I believe I saw that Git branch itself uses this git for each ref with this format. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use this git for each ref, and then the format and the heads. So let me just type in a comment here so we can know what we're aiming for. So we want to let branches, and we're going to assign branches the result of the git run command, my git run command helper, and it's going to be that for each ref, and then format equals, we need to do a single quote here, ref name shorts, and then refs heads. Close that out, and I believe that should be all we need there. And again, since we're doing the git run command, we can tell it whether or not we want it to print out to the buffer, the message buffer. And in this case, we do want to if it's called interactively, so we can say called interactively p, and just interactive, like we discovered in the last stream. So if I just run this. We don't want to close it all out, actually. So let me leave it a little bit open. So let's just close out the branches, the let. But if I call this git run command interactively, we see that it does have, in a message buffer down here, we do see we got doom, Emacs config rewrite, literate Emacs config, and master. So we do get just the list of branches, and it's in a string. But what we really need is that string to be broken up into 4 separate strings. We need to just split that string apart. The reason is because, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that in this function now that I think about it. I'm going to do that in a different function because I think, and again, this could all change in the future, but I think what I would like to do is just keep the return or the strings that are returned from the git run command function. I think I would like that to just return exactly what's returned from Git. So in this case, it would be the string with the new lines included. So let's keep that and just define this. So now we have this git list branches. Let's go ahead and execute that so we can define git list branches. So now if we call, geo git list branches should be in there now. Yeah, so if we call that, yes, we do have the list of branches. So that's good. What we want to do with that now is I like how Emacs allows you to pick from a few options sometimes. And so I went diving into the, I guess the documentation to find out how that is done. And what I found was something called completing read. Yeah, this function reads a string in the mini buffer, assisting the user by providing completion. That sounds like what we want, right? It activates the mini buffer with prompt, which must be a string. So that, again, that's the string that says like, branch name colon, and then you do the completion. The actual completion is done by passing the completion table collection, which is the second argument there, and the completion predicate to the function try completion. And from what I can tell, there's a bunch of like hooks you can put in that define how the completion engine works. In this case, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to get that deep. I'm going to allow, I think I'm using Ivy that helps with completion stuff. So I'm just going to let Emacs and whatever I'm using currently to help with the completion to do its thing and just leave it alone and just give it the options. There's also these other options here like require match, initial, history, default, inherit input method. And some of those we actually want. So if let's look at those in order here. So predicate, we don't want predicate. So if predicate is non-nil, so if it is something, it should be compatible with collection and completion in the case. We don't really want predicate. I don't want to mess with predicate. So we'll leave that nil. So actually, let's play with it a little bit. So let's just have this buffer here, and I haven't updated my my Yas snippet to not indent right away yet. So that's something that I need to do soon or sometime in the near future. All right, in here, again, let's turn off fly check mode. Define. No, actually, no, we're not going to define a function yet. Let's play. We want to do a completing read and see what we can find. So completing read. And we say this is a test. So that's our prompt. Then the second one is the predicate. I'm sorry, is the list of options. So I think we can provide a list like this. Like let's say first, second, third. Let's see what that does. So again, Control X, Control E. Yes, so this is a test. So down here in our mini buffer, this is a test, and we have our three options here: first, second, third. And there's auto completion, so I can do RD for third or RS for first, IR for both first and third. So we have a typical or an easy first thing to do. So if I hit enter, it just shows me the return of that, which right now we're not doing anything with, but that's okay. Let me add enters in here because we're going to mess with some of these other options. So the next one was the rest of the optionals are predicate. And I believe, again, these aren't like keyword arguments like in a Ruby or something like that. They are in order. So if we just want to get something in an inherent input method, then we'd have to put something in for predicate, require match, initial, history, and default. Again, that's my understanding. I am not an Emacs or Lisp expert. In fact, I put in the description, but like I haven't written any Emacs since, well, the first time I wrote Emacs was about a month and a half ago. I started playing with what I could do with Lisp, not Emacs, Lisp. I just am not familiar with Lisps, and especially Emacs Lisp. I've done copy paste from internet sites and done a little bit of like, well, there's this on my copy paste and I kind of want it to change. So maybe if I change this one little variable, it'll do something different. But that's the extent of my my Lisp experience. Excuse me. So if anything I say can be done better, please let me know in the comments, because I'm doing this to learn, and hopefully you can learn from my learning and maybe learn even better than I can. Okay, so we want to give nil to predicate. So let's say nil. And the next one is require match. So this one's interesting. The value of the optional argument require match determines how the user may exit the mini buffer. So if nil, the usual mini buffer exit commands work regardless of the input on the mini buffer. So that, I believe, is maybe the default. Probably. I don't know. If T, the usual mini buffer exit commands won't exit unless the input completes to an element of collection. So let's try turning that to T and see what happens. So let's just execute this, and let's try putting in fourth. So like you can see now it says match required. I'm hitting enter and I can't exit that. I hit Control G, of course, I can quit it. But then I just have quit there instead of fourth. My option was fourth. In this case, like we want, like the branch should exist, right? And we're trying to make this to where we select an existing branch in order to open up a PR for that branch in GitHub. So we do want that branch to exist. So T is looking like a better option than nil at the moment. If it's confirm, the user can exit with any input, but is asked for confirmation if the input is not an element of collection. I tried this, but I couldn't get it to work. So I think that's what it means to be confirm, or maybe it's this. I don't know. Let's try this. Confirm. Yeah. So void variable confirm. So that's not it. So if I add this little asterisk to make it, I can't remember what it's called. Make it a symbol. Well, let's try it. So if I do that and then I type forth, like there's no confirmation. I don't understand how that's any different than T. But then there's confirm after completion. The user can exit with any input, but is asked for confirmation if the preceding command was a completion command. And the resulting input is not an element of collection. So that sounds more like a complicated confirm. Any other value of require match behaves like T, except that the exit commands won't exit if it performs completion. I'm wondering if I just don't know how to make it be confirm. And instead, when I put that asterisk in front, it makes it any other value other than confirm or T or any of the other values. So if you know whether or not that's the case or what's right or wrong with that, please let me know, because I'm interested in knowing. So the best option I know of is T, because we want them to have to pick a branch that exists locally. So that was T. So let's look further. The next one is initial. So I think it'd be cool to have the default or the initial option be the current branch. I thought, well, that would make it easy, because typically you want to open a PR on the branch that you're working on right now. So I thought, well, let's do that. So initial sounded like the one to go with, but it says the argument initial is, oh, sorry. Okay, well, I guess that was it. The argument initial, why is it so far down? Is this still just stuff about completion? I think so. Okay. The argument history specifies which no, that's not it. The argument initial is mostly deprecated. We recommend using a non-nil value only in conjunction with specifying a con cell for history. See initial input. For default input, use default instead. So I don't want to mess with history stuff. I don't know what that would do. Sounds more complex than I'm looking for. But I do want that default value. It says for default input, use default instead. And that sounds like what we want. So for initial, I'm going to put nil. So let's keep track of these. This was predicate. This was require confirmation, or require confirm, I think it's called. Require match. Require match. And this one was initial. The next one is history. Again, I don't want to mess with history. Oh, sorry. I don't want to mess with history, so let's do nil there. And finally, we get to defaults. And this is what we want for the current buffer. We want the current buffer here. So we have a Git helper function for that, because we want the current branch. So we can say geogit current branch name. Yeah, I got into JavaScript or something there. Let's try that. And void variable geo current branch name. Oh, I have to run it. So I have to put it in these parentheses, I think. Yeah, okay, so now we have first, second, and third, but we also have this default of literate Emacs config, which is the current branch name. So perfect. So we're getting closer to what we want. Since we are getting closer, I'm going to go ahead and change this to branch to merge. Let's start building this out like we're building it to be our final function. So here's our branch to merge. I don't want to save that. So now our prompt is branch to merge. Now instead of this first, second, third, we want it to be the list of the local branches. So we created that function just a minute ago. It was geo get list branches. List branches. But like, let's run this. Nil. Oh, because I'm in this this coding buffer. Let's go back over to the left-hand side and try geolist branches. Okay, yeah, we do get those. So this might be interesting in this. We might not be able to do this in the buffer, in this little buffer. I don't know what this is even called. This org source buffer. But we'll try it. Okay, so we're going to list our branches. Let's run this now, see what happens. So now we just have this one branch name because this was returning nil. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Let's bring it back over to here. And, oh, that's gross indentation, but I guess that's the way you indent it. And let's run it in here. And again, we just have that one. Why aren't we getting the list of our local branches? Geo get list branches. If I call geo get list branches, it comes out. Oh, because I'm not calling it interactively. And instead, it's just returning. It just wants to use the value. Okay, tell you what, let's remove this default, this initial, and see what happens. Branch number, yeah, it's 0. There's no options. Why is that? If we do that, we do get the options. Oh, look, I know what we did. So in geo get list branches, we assign this branches variable, and it was working for us when we were calling it interactively, right? We were getting, like, if we call it interactively, geo get list branches, we do get in the mini buffer the list of branches, but I wasn't doing anything as the return. There was no return other than the message being called when it was interactive. So we have branches as the variable. So let's open this back up in a buffer. Just get the formatting. Whoops, not that. The formatting right. Fly check, get out of here. You know what? I can I disable globally? Fly check global mode. Haha, global fly check mode disabled. Perfect. So let's close out branches and no, we want to close out just before the let is done. And in here, we want to return branches because that's what we're interested in. I think that is going to do what we want it to do. So let's redefine GeoGetList branches, run it in here non-interactively. Okay, perfect. We do get that string back with the list of our branches. That's what we wanted. Yay! So now if we run this, what's going to happen? We crash. Here's why. Look. It says invalid function, doom, new line, Emacs config rewrite, new line, literal. That's our string, right? Now, if we go back to our documentation and we go to the collection, it says the where does it say about the collection? Well, this doesn't really say anything about the collection itself. That's too bad. Maybe basic completion. No. Program. Oh. Okay, see programmed completion for detailed requirements when collection is a function. It's not. But it really, okay. In this case, we want it to be a list. I'll just say that. We want it to be a list. And in this case, it's just this one string with new lines. So we want to break that string apart at the new lines. And thankfully, I found, was it string? Oh, split. We can just, so split string takes the string and optional separators, but by default, it does it by, I think, white space. But we can do split string in here. So split string and the result of that. And if we run this, now we get that list of each individual branch as its own string, which is perfect. And those new lines are gone. So let's see if this works. XE. Yes, now we have the branch to merge. We have our 4 options, and literate Emacs config is the default option, which is the branch we are currently on. So this allows us to select a branch. So now what do we need to do with that branch? Well, I closed the window here, but if you remember, we want the tab to be something like this. I want the URL to be something like this expand thing. So let me copy that over just so we have it locally. Here we go. And I'm going to open it back up in a mini, or this buffer over here. Let's keep calling mini buffer. It's not a mini buffer. So nope, up here, let's just put a comment. We want it to end up looking like this. So we have our branch read functionality done, but now we need to do something with that. So now we want to start defining our function, geo GitHub, how about open PR from branch. And maybe at some point we'll allow a user to specify the branch directly. Right now, let's just use this picker thing. So we want to let, and the let star means that any variable that's bound in this let can be used in later bindings. So we're going to need that because we're going to use the branch name in a GitHubUrl variable. So branch is going to equal this completing read stuff. So let me let the indenter do its thing. Actually, I think I can just do format all or format buffer. There we go. Makes it nice. Put that one up there. So this closes out completing read. We also need, like in our open the file in GitHub, we also need the git remote URL. So let's close out branch and also add full remote, and that is geo GitHub, git run command remote git URL origin. Actually, yes. This should have that. There we go. What I want to do actually is, since it's so similar or exact really from the thing we've already written on this other GitHub, open the file in GitHub, I'm just going to copy this over. So we need both of these things. We need the full remote, and then we need to get the organ repo from the full remote. And since I'm copying and pasting, you know what that means. That's like the perfect thing for a refactor later. I'm not going to do it tonight, I don't think, but at some point we should refactor this to be able to put these both into that and put that and this into helper functions or something, so that we don't have to copy and paste this, because this is doing the same thing the same way twice. And if something needs to change in the way we're doing this or why we're doing this, then it'd be nice to only have to change this in one place. But for now, we're just going to copy and paste because we're going to do it the dumb way. The dumb way to get it working. All right, so we have full remote, we have organ repo. Now we just need to create that GitHub URL. So let's call it GitHub URL, and we're going to use format here. So it's https github.com, and then here is the organ repo. So we're going to put in a placeholder of %s, and then the compare. Again, I'm looking up here, so let's just bring this down here so we can look at it closer. I'll skip it here. Compare, and then the branch name, so another %s, and then the question mark expand equals 1. And then we need to put in those placeholders. So the first one was the organ repo, organ repo. The second was the branch name. So we'll just call branch. Let's just rename it branch name, actually. Make it a little more obvious. I'm going to have to reformat this buffer, but that's okay. Branch name. And then, wait, that was it, right? Yeah, just organ repo and branch name. So we can close off format, close off GitHub URL. And now we can close off all our lets and use them to the browse URL. Nope, not browser. Browse URL, GitHub URL, and then close off our entire function. Let's define that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put that over here. Oh, you know what? I need to format it first. So format buffer. There we go. And let's delete this comment. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so sorry about that. I am back. There's my code. We are going to define, I'm going to put this back over here. Let's define this and try running it. So that's defined. Let's call GitHub, geo GitHub, open PR from branch. Okay, here's our chooser. We want to open the PR from literate Emacs config, and let's see if it works. Opened in a tab over here. Let's bring that tab over. This is what it opened, I promise. And it looks like it worked perfectly. This is our URL that we created, which is what we wanted. And again, here are all my Emacs configs, or my literate Emacs config that I started up. You can see I started this on March 3rd. That was just like, you know, a couple months ago at this point. So I haven't had a whole lot of experience doing this. So this is kind of fun learning for me. So I don't want to open a PR right now, so I'll just leave that open. So we did it. That's what we were hoping to do. We have that cool completion thing. We have the ability to open a PR from a branch locally, and I don't have to open Magit to do it. Actually, okay, hold on. I'll show you this. I went to the Magit, it's Magit website, and they have this FAQ. Where is it? FAQ. If you go here and say how to, it says how to pronounce Magit, and it's either Magit. I don't know what M's means. Magit or Magit is fine. The slogan is it's Magit, the magical Git client. So it makes sense to pronounce Magit like magic, while taking into account that C and T do not sound the same. So either way, like I keep saying it Magit or Magit, and they say it's fine either way. So I'll just keep switching back and forth like I typically do, and not have to choose one. All right, let's delete some new lines here. So this was our GitHub. This is a GitHub function. So let's move that down into opening the current editing task. This is when organization's like, well, where do I put this? Oh, I have GitHub. Maybe I should move both of these into GitHub. How about we add a subdirectory for each of these, or a subheading for each of these. This was get the current Git branch name. This one is list the local Git branch names. I just noticed that I spelled Git bit up here. Git. Okay. List the local Git branch names. Here we want to open a PR for a local Git branch on GitHub. And that's where we want to put, oh shoot, the PR code. What did I do with that? I think it's in here. Yep, there it is. Alfred to the rescue. There you go. Open PR from branch. And then we also have this other one. Let's go ahead and move it to open in GitHub. Was it open the current file in GitHub? Paste that in. Paste it, paste it. There we go. All right, cool. Open PR from branch. Sweet. So now we have this open a PR for local Git branch on GitHub. So I have my Hydra here, and the capital G is my GitHub sub Hydra. And right now I just have the open file in GitHub. So let's add the new PR in this. So I could either do like N for new or P for PR. I think P makes more sense. Let's do P. All right, so let's go down to my Hydras. Oh wait, GitHub open PR from branch. No, I wanted, I didn't actually do the right thing. So I want this to go up here. Open in GitHub, yes. And this one should be already here. Open PR from branch, yes, okay. Delete a couple of spaces in here. And then delete that because that is in a new spot. And then my GitHub Hydra. I'm using Pretty Hydra, which is really nice, I think. So we're going to add a new one. This is going to be P. And it's going to be GitHub. Shoot, what was the name of it? Come on, company, tell me, save me. GitHub. Shoot. Forgot what I named it. Was it open PR open PR from branch. Okay, open PR from branch. Open PR from branch. Okay, so in the pretty Hydra, this is like, let me install this and I'll show you. And Control X, Control E. So I'm redefining my pretty Hydra for GitHub menu. So if I press space, which is my leader, or it brings up Hydra, my main Hydra menu. And then the capital G, you can see now I have my new P option. So the P in the code right here, the P defines the option, the letter to press, the key to press. Doesn't have to be a letter. And then the function to call, which could be another Hydra body, which is kind of cool. That's how I have these nested Hydras. In this case, it's the GitHub open PR from branch. And then the quotes here are the description of what the key does. And if you see here, this little GitHub, this is the title of that column. And you can make multiple columns. So I can say like, so this closes off this column. Let's say column 2 up, and add a couple things. How about H and just, I don't know. Can you do this? Let's see if we can do this. Lambda message. I don't even know if I need a lambda, but you did it. Let's see what happens. Did you do it? Let's try this. Can we define that? Yes. Open up. Nope. Open up the GitHub H. See. Okay. So now you can see the whole reason I did this was to show column 2. So column 2 is now there. And did you do it? Let's try H. Did you do it? Oh no. Wrong LB type. Command P. So this isn't a command. How do we make just? Maybe we can't just make an inline command. I don't know how to do that. Is it prog in? Prog in. Message. You did it. Well, let's redefine that and try it again. That's what we're here for, right? Trying stuff out. H. Hey, you did it. There we go. I will also wonder if I can just do the message like this, like call it directly. I know prog in allows you to like group functions into one call. Nope. Redefined H. Okay, so I can just call the message directly there. Perfect. So let's delete column 2. We don't need that. And redefine it. Now let's try it out with in the Hydra. So space, capital G, P, open PR from branch. Yep, there we go. Branch submerged, literal Emacs config. And there it is in our browser. Beauty. That's working. It's working. It's always nice when things work, isn't it? All right. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it off tonight. We added, actually, let's commit this. So I'm still using Magit. Magit. See, I can't do it both. I can't use the soft G with ma. It has to be Magit or Magit. Shoot, Magit or Magit. I think Magit brings out the southern in me, which I'm not ashamed of. I'll try to keep going Magit. All right, so let's add these subdirectories. Just do that, and then list the local Git branch names. Yeah, so we added this tonight, the Git list branches. So we want to stage that, and then we created this GitHub open PR from branch tonight. So let's stage that. Open the current file in GitHub. This is just a moving. We moved it from down there to up here. So I'm just going to stage that hunk and stage this hunk. Make sure this is all then. Yeah, so stage that hunk. And then this is the Hydra that adds the OpenPR to our GitHub Hydra, or my GitHub Hydra. And so let's commit that. Emacs. What do we do? Add function to OpenPR from a local branch. Boom. And I've got 4 on push. Let's push those suckers. Off to GitHub you go. And so if we look here, if we refresh this, we should see those new ones added in. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Cool. I'm really liking this. Hopefully this was helpful. I enjoy watching someone work through problems, and I enjoy working through problems. So hopefully This was one of those situations where you can watch me work through a problem and come to a decent solution. Again, I don't know if it's the right solution. I don't even know if it's a good solution, but it works, and that's what I'm going after. So if you know of a way to do it better or have done it better, and I know a lot of this is already done. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I'm creating my own wheel, right? That's the point of Emacs and configuring your editor. You want it to act like how you want it to act. And I like having the ability to do it exactly how I want to do it and know how it's being done in the first place. And honestly, that's one reason why I like Phoenix, the programming, the web framework for Elixir. Like a lot of my experiences in Rails, my professional experiences in Rails, I've been doing Rails since like 2005, a long time. But there's a lot of magic in Rails, and you don't always know which gem is, getting inside your code and which portion or where or who's redefining what class. It can be scary sometimes to just trust that things are behaving. But in Phoenix, everything's like out there and open, and you can see it all and configure it and just remove parts. And I don't know. I like Phoenix, and this isn't a Phoenix cast, so sorry about that. This is Emacs. I like Emacs too. I used to be a Vim lover. I used to make fun of people who used Emacs playfully, of course. It's a choice. Don't make fun of people because of their choice of editor. That's dumb. But playfully prod at people who used Emacs, and now I'm one of those people, and I never thought I would be, but I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. I still use Vim on servers and stuff like that. So I'm still a Vim boy. I still use the Vim key bindings and all that. So love for Vim too. Anyway, I'm rambling now because I'm tired. Let's go to bed. Thank you for watching. Again, please comment if you have any suggestions about what I could be doing better. Because I'm new at this, both the streaming and the editing, the Lisp. And should I say it? I'm going to say it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. All right. Thanks. Have a good night, guys.